In the next 30 days, you will either enter June the same way you entered May, or you will change the first 60 minutes of your day and change everything that follows. My friend, most people believe the problem is motivation. That is not the problem. The problem is that nobody ever taught you how to own the first hour of your morning. And so every day begins with you already behind. Stay until the end. The final lesson is the one nobody says out loud. This is English Story Studio. Real lessons about real life. In English you can follow. I understood something about mornings in a small rented room, 45 years old, with nothing left that I had not built myself from scratch. My friend, if you wake up tired before the day begins, I am not going to tell you to try harder. I know what tired feels like when it is not laziness. It is the weight of a life that has been running on someone else's schedule for too long. Here is what this video is about. Not productivity, not a perfect morning checklist. It is about 5 habits that give you back the first hour of your day. That 1 hour. The one nobody can touch. We are going to move through this in 3 parts. First, you are going to see yourself clearly, maybe more clearly than you want to. Then something is going to get uncomfortable. That is not a mistake. That is where the real shift happens. And at the end, you will have something simple, specific, and yours. No motivation speeches. No perfect CEO routines. Just 5 things that work. Explained honestly by someone who learned them the hard way. Stay until the end. What I saved for last is the hardest truth. Her name is Sofia. She is 38 years old. She lives in Manila, in the Philippines, and every morning she is up before the sun. Not because she chose to be. Because 2 children need lunches packed. Because uniforms need checking. Because someone needs to stand at the door and say goodbye. And that someone is always her. By 6:15 in the morning, Sofia is already tired. Not the kind of tired that sleep fixes. The kind that has been building for months. By 6:30, she is on the jeepney, pressed between strangers, already thinking about the 47 messages waiting at work. Sofia has a notebook at home. She bought it 2 years ago. She wrote a business idea in it. 3 pages, front and back, because the idea was real and she believed in it. She has not opened that notebook in 11 weeks. She tells herself, next month. When things are quieter. When the kids are older. When I finally have more time. Sofia does not feel lazy. She feels used up before the day even begins. She is always running and never arriving. And somewhere under all the doing and the packing and the commuting, she has quietly started to believe that her window is already past. I know this person. I was this person, not in Manila, not with children, but in the same trap. Doing everything and owning nothing. Running a full life and feeling invisible inside it. If you see yourself in Sofia, stay with me. This is for you. Lesson 1. Wake at the same time. Every day your brain does not respect intention. It respects pattern. This is not a philosophy. This is how your nervous system actually works. Every time you negotiate your wake time, every time you say 5 more minutes, or not today, you are not just losing those minutes. You are sending a signal. You are telling your body that today's rules are optional, and a body that learns today's rules are optional will test tomorrow's rules too. Most people think discipline is about willpower. They think the strong people wake up early because they want to. That is not true. The people who wake consistently are not people with more motivation. They are people who stopped making the wake time a decision. It is no longer a question for them. It is just what happens. I did not learn this from a book. I learned it in a period of my life when everything else was negotiable. My income, my plans, my sense of who I was. The one thing I could control was what time I stood up. So I made it the same time every day. Not because I was disciplined, because I needed one thing that did not move. Here is what that costs you when you skip it. Your body is never in rhythm. It is always in recovery. Every Monday feels like starting over because for your nervous system, every Monday is starting over. You have been resetting the clock every weekend and then wondering why the week feels so hard to begin. The mirror phase of this is simple. Most people think they lack motivation. What they actually lack is a morning that belongs to them. And a morning cannot belong to you if it starts at a different time every day. The first habit is not about waking early. It is about waking the same. Consistent is not glamorous. Consistent is what works. On weekdays, Sofia wakes at 5 a.m. because she has to. On Saturday, she sleeps until 7. On Sunday, 7:30. By Monday morning, her alarm goes off and her body feels like it has been hit. She sits on the edge of her bed in the dark. The apartment is quiet. She thinks, I just need 10 more minutes. She takes them, then 10 more. By the time she is actually moving, something has already shifted in her. She is not behind on time yet, but she is already behind in her mind. She does this every week. Every Monday she tells herself, this week will be different. It is not different because the pattern under the week never changed. That is the lesson. Sofia was not failing on Monday. She was paying for Sunday. Tonight, before you sleep, set one alarm. 1. The same time you will wake tomorrow and every day this week. Do not set a backup alarm. The backup alarm is where the negotiation begins. One alarm. One decision. Make it now, not in the morning when you are weak. Your only obstacle tonight is the voice that says, I will do it tomorrow. That voice has cost you months. Set the alarm now. Lesson 2. Protect the first 5 minutes of silence. The first 5 minutes of your morning are being stolen from you. Every day. And you are handing them over without a fight. Before you take 3 breaths, before your eyes have fully adjusted to the light, you are already inside someone else's world. The news, the notifications, the messages from people who need something from you. You did not choose any of it, but it is already inside you, and it will shape how you feel for the next 4 hours. This is not about phones being bad. It is about something more specific. Your brain, in the first minutes after waking, is in a state that neuroscientists call hypnagogic, a soft, open state, the boundary between sleeping and fully awake. In that state, whatever enters your mind enters deeply. It does not pass through your filter. It goes straight in. So when you check your phone in those first minutes, you are not just checking your phone. You are programming your nervous system for the day. And you are letting the algorithm do the programming. I have seen this pattern in my own life at a very specific cost. I spent years starting every morning reactive. By 7 a.m. I was already defending, already anxious, already in a conversation I did not start. I thought that was just how mornings felt. It was not. It was a choice I was making every day before I was awake enough to know I was making it. The 5 minutes of silence are not about meditation. They are not about being spiritual or calm or enlightened. They are simply about letting your mind arrive before the world does. That is all. 5 minutes. Your mind. Before anyone else's. If you do not protect those minutes, someone will always fill them. Something will always fill them. Not because the world is cruel, because the world is loud, and silence requires a choice. The moment Sofia opens her eyes, her hand finds her phone. It is automatic. She does not decide to check it. Her body just does it. By the time she gets to the kitchen, she has already read 2 pieces of bad news, 3 work messages, and a long complaint from a family group chat. She stands at the stove, waiting for the water to boil. She feels heavy. She thinks it is because she is tired. It is not because she is tired. She was not tired 30 seconds before she picked up the phone. Her stress does not build during the commute. It does not build at the office. It starts at 5001 a.m., in the dark, in her own bedroom, in her own hand. Tonight, before you sleep, move your phone to the other side of the room, not just to silent, across the room. When you wake tomorrow, do not cross the room to get it. Sit first. Breathe. Let 5 minutes pass. That is your only task. The obstacle is real. Your hand will want the phone. That is not weakness. That is habit. The habit ends the moment you move the phone before you sleep. Do it tonight. Lesson 3. Move your body before you feed your obligations. Physical movement in the first hour of the day is not about fitness, not about weight, not about how you look. It is about one signal, one message that you send to your brain before the world sends its own. That message is this: I am in charge of this body today. Not the schedule, not the obligations, not the tiredness. Me, your body, in the morning, is chemically different from your body in the afternoon. Cortisol, the hormone that drives alertness and action, peaks in the first hour after waking. This is not something you need to create. It is already happening in you right now, every morning. The question is what you do with it. Most people use that cortisol peak to scroll, to rush, to prepare things for other people. The energy is there. They just do not claim it for themselves first. Movement does not need to be long. It does not need to be hard. 7 minutes of stretching changes your blood flow. 10 minutes of walking in place raises your body temperature. Simple body weight exercises wake up muscles that have been still for 7 hours. The biology is simple. A body in motion produces a different chemistry than a body at rest. That chemistry follows you into your morning, into your focus, into your patience with difficult people and difficult problems. Here is what it costs when you skip it. You begin the day in a passive state. You are waiting to feel ready, waiting to feel like doing something. And that waiting, my friend, is not laziness. It is biology. A body that has not moved is a body still in night mode. It is waiting for the signal that the day has begun. You have to give it that signal. Nobody gives you that hour back. Not your job, not your family, not the week that comes after. Sofia tells herself she has no time to exercise. She believes this. On most mornings it feels completely true, but here is what a Tuesday morning actually looks like. She puts the rice cooker on at 5:12 a.m. She waits 14 minutes. She stands in the kitchen, in her house clothes, phone in her hand, scrolling. The children are still asleep. The apartment is quiet. The water is boiling. 14 minutes. Right there. Every morning. She does not see it as free time. She sees it as waiting time. There is a difference in how it feels, but not in how long it is. The time was always there. Sofia had just never named it as hers. Tomorrow morning, before you prepare anything for anyone else, do 7 minutes of movement, stretching on the floor, walking in place in your kitchen. Simple exercises in the space beside your bed. Set a timer. 7 minutes. That is your only task before the obligations begin. The obstacle is guilt. The feeling that moving your body before the lunches are packed is selfish. It is not selfish. It is the only way you arrive at the rest of your day, with something still left in you. 7 minutes. Before anyone else gets you, stop. Before we continue, be honest with yourself right now. Not about whether you agree with these habits, about whether you have tried them before and stopped, because that is where the real conversation begins. Take a breath. Stay here for a moment. Most people who stop do not stop because the habits are wrong. They stop because life interrupted once and they did not know how to start again. That is not failure. That is what we are going to talk about next. In the next part, we go deeper. The habits get harder. And Sophia is about to try something and stop and discover something she was not expecting. Stay with me. Sophia tried. That is the part most videos skip. They show you the habit, then they show you the result. They leave out the middle, the part where a real person actually attempts it, and the attempt falls apart. After watching a video about morning routines, Sophia decided to wake at 4:40 a.m. 20 minutes earlier than usual. She would sit in silence before the children woke. 10 minutes of stretching. One sentence in her notebook. She did it for 4 days. On day 5, her younger child woke early and cried. The silence was gone before it began. On day 6, she skipped the stretching because she was already behind. By day 8, she had stopped all of it. She told her sister, "I knew it would not work for someone like me," but here's what Sophia did not tell her sister. For those 4 days, she had noticed something. Not energy, not productivity. For 20 minutes each morning, she had felt like herself. Not a mother, not an employee, not a person behind on everything. Just Sophia. That feeling did not leave her even when the habit did. I know this moment. I lived it. The morning you quit is not the end. Sometimes it is the first morning you actually understand what you were building. On day 9, still in the dark, Sophia sat on the edge of her bed and did not move for a while. She was not praying exactly, but she was quiet in a way she had not been in years. And in that quiet, without being able to explain it, she felt something she had almost forgotten. The feeling of not being alone in it. Lesson 4, feed your mind before the world feeds you fear. Every morning, something is going to fill your mind first. This is not a possibility. This is a certainty. The question is never whether your mind will be fed. The question is who is doing the feeding. If you do not choose what enters your mind in the first 30 minutes of your day, something else will choose for you. And my friend, that something else is not neutral. It is not random. The news is designed to alarm you. Social media is designed to make you compare. Other people's problems arrive in your inbox already shaped into urgency. None of it is trying to make you stronger. All of it is competing for your attention. And attention in the morning is not just your focus. It is your emotional starting point for the entire day. I believed the lie for years that information is neutral. That reading the news in the morning was just staying informed. It was not. It was handing my first hour to people I had never met, about problems I could not solve, in places I would never go, and then wondering why. By 9 a.m., I already felt like I was losing. This is the fire phase of this work, and this is where it burns. You do not grow by adding more to your life. You grow by burning the story that says you have no control over what enters you. You do have control. You exercised no control this morning, and the morning before that, and the 30 mornings before that. Not because you are weak, because nobody told you this was a choice. Here is what it costs you. Sophia consumes news, other people's problems, and social media in the first 30 minutes of every day. She does not notice how it shapes her mood. She only notices, hours later, that she feels anxious and small and behind. And she blames work. She blames the commute. She blames the week. The week did not do it. The first 30 minutes did. Your mind is not passive in the morning. It is open. Whatever you place in an open mind in those first minutes does not sit on the surface. It goes in deep and drives the tone of everything that follows. That is not a metaphor. That is how the brain works when it is moving from sleep to full waking. Choose what enters. That is the whole lesson. Sophia's phone is in her hand before her feet touch the floor. By 5:08 a.m., she has already read about a typhoon warning 3 provinces away, 2 political arguments in a family group chat, and a colleague's passive-aggressive message from the night before. She puts the phone down and starts making breakfast. She feels behind. She feels low. She thinks, it is going to be one of those days. It is going to be one of those days because she decided it at 5:08 a.m. without knowing she was deciding anything. She thinks the heaviness came from the day. The heaviness came from the first 8 minutes. One day, she listens to 3 minutes of a podcast about small businesses while she packs the lunches. Just 3 minutes. That morning, something is different. She cannot explain why, but she arrives at work with a thought still in her head that belongs to her. That is what chosen input feels like. It stays. Tomorrow morning, choose one thing to read, listen to, or watch that you selected before you slept tonight. 1 page of a book, 10 minutes of a podcast, 1 short video about something you want to build. Write it down now, before you sleep. So the choice is already made when you are groggy. And the phone is right there. The obstacle is this. The algorithm will be faster than your intention. The notification will arrive before you remember your plan. The choice must be made tonight, not tomorrow morning, because tomorrow morning you will be too tired to fight it. Choose now. Write it down. Guard it. Guard it. Here is the uncomfortable question. What has your mind been fed every morning for the past 30 days? And what has it produced? My friend, stop here. I need to say something directly. I am not asking this to make you feel bad. I am asking because I went years before someone asked me this question. Years. And when I finally answered it honestly, I understood something that no productivity system had ever shown me. You cannot build a strong life on a weak daily input. You cannot think clearly in the afternoon if you spent the morning consuming fear. What enters you in the morning does not stay in the morning. It travels with you all day into your decisions, your patience, your courage. Guard the input. That is not optional. Lesson 5. Set one intention before you leave your house. A day without intention is a day you react to. Not a day you lose, not a day you waste, but a day you spend entirely in response mode. Someone else sets the agenda. Someone else's problem becomes your priority. Someone else's urgency overrides your own. And at the end of that day, you sit down and wonder where the time went and why you feel like you ran hard and arrived nowhere. This is the door, not a metaphor about dreams and futures, a literal door. The door of your home, the one you walk through every morning on your way into the world. What you carry through that door is what you bring to the day, and most people walk through it carrying nothing of their own. Intention is not a to-do list. I want to be clear about this. A to-do list is a record of obligations. An intention is different. It is one sentence that connects the life you are living right now to the life you are trying to build. One sentence. Not a plan. Not a vision board. A bridge, small and specific, between today and who you are becoming. This is what I found when I finally moved. Not a system. Not a breakthrough. One sentence, written by hand, before I left the house. Some days it was as small as, today I will make one phone call I have been avoiding. Some days, today I will finish the thing I started last Tuesday. The sentence did not have to be big. It had to be true. The habit is not the destination. The habit is what opens the door. You still have to walk through, but a person who walks through with one clear intention walks differently from a person who walks through hoping the day will be kind to them. Sofia has big dreams, her own business, financial independence, a different kind of life for her children, But each morning, she leaves the house without connecting those dreams to anything she will actually do today. The gap between her dream and her day is never closed because she never builds the bridge in the morning. The bridge is one sentence. That is all it takes to begin. Partial ownership, practiced every morning, becomes a life you recognize as yours. You will not own every day, but you will own more of them, and more becomes enough. Enough becomes momentum. The morning everything shifted for Sofia was not dramatic. She was standing by the door at 6:20 a.m., bag on her shoulder, children already in the hallway. She had 1 minute. She pulled out the notebook she had not opened in 11 weeks. She did not read what was in it. She wrote one sentence on a blank page near the back. Today I will research one thing about starting a small business. She did not do research that day. Work was heavy and the children had homework and the evening disappeared. But something had changed. The sentence existed. She had written it in her own hand and meant it, and on the jeepney home that night, she opened her phone and searched for 20 minutes instead of scrolling. That was the bridge. Small enough to cross. Real enough to matter. Before you leave your home tomorrow, write one sentence in a notebook or on a piece of paper. Not your phone. Paper. The sentence begins with, "Today, I will do this one thing that moves me forward." Then write the thing. One thing, not a list. Say it quietly to yourself as you walk out the door. The obstacle is that it will feel too small. You will think, this cannot be enough. It is enough. The sentence is not the whole journey. It is the first step taken with your eyes open. Write it, say it, then go. These 5 habits are not separate ideas. They are one system. Wake at the same time, and you give your body a foundation. Protect the first 5 minutes of silence, and you give your mind a starting point that belongs to you. Move before you serve anyone else, and you arrive at your obligations with something still in the tank. Choose what feeds your mind, and you stop letting fear set your emotional tone for the day. Set one intention before you leave, and you build. Day by day, the bridge between the life you are living and the life you are building. The mirror, the fire, the door. You have seen yourself clearly. Something old has been challenged. Now you have what you need to walk through. You have the map now, my friend. The question is whether you will use it. You have just heard 5 habits, and I want you to use them. But before you do, I need to tell you what happens to most people after a video like this. Not because I read about it, because I lived it more than once in more than one chapter of my life. Mistake 1, starting with all 5 at once. You finish this video feeling clear and ready. So you set the alarm, move the phone, plan the stretching, choose your reading, and write the intention all at once. You build the whole system in one night. That is the mistake. Why your brain does not adopt 5 new patterns simultaneously. It cannot. What happens on day 3 is not laziness. It is overload. You miss one habit, then feel like the whole system has failed, and you stop everything. I have seen this cost people everything they had just started to build. Not because they were weak, because they asked too much of themselves on day 1. Fix. Start with one habit only. The first one. Wake at the same time for 7 days before you add anything else. One root before any branches. Let the single habit feel boring before you build on it. Boring means it is working. Mistake 2. Waiting for the perfect morning. What? The child wakes early. The alarm does not go off. The water cuts out. Something disrupts the routine and you decide, today does not count. I will restart tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes next month. Why I made this mistake? More than once. I built a solid routine, something real, something mine, And the moment one morning broke, I treated it like a sign, like the disruption meant I was not meant for this. That is not wisdom. That is the old story, wearing a new excuse. A broken morning is not a failed system. It is Tuesday. Fix. The only rule after a disrupted morning is this: do one thing from your routine, however small. 1 minute of silence. 1 minute of movement. 1 sentence in the notebook. Not to save the morning, to signal to your brain that the pattern still exists. One thing keeps the thread alive. Mistake 3. Measuring too early. What? After 2 weeks, you check for results. You look for more energy, more focus, more productivity, something measurable. You find small things, but not the transformation you expected. So you quietly conclude, it is not working for someone like me. Why? I made this mistake too, and it cost me 6 months of real progress. The habits you build in the morning do not produce visible results in 2 weeks. They produce invisible ones. A slightly calmer nervous system. A slightly clearer mind. A slightly more grounded identity. You cannot see these things. You can only feel them, faintly, if you are paying attention. And most people are not paying attention because they are looking for the wrong evidence. Fix. For the first 30 days, do not measure output. Measure consistency only. Did I do it today? Yes or no? That is the only question. The results will come. They always come after the measuring stops. 3 weeks later, Sofia's life looks the same from the outside. She still takes the jeepney. She still packs the lunches. She still has 47 messages waiting at work most mornings. No one watching her life would notice any difference, but here is what is different. Her phone is face down on the bedside table when she wakes. She sits for 5 minutes before she speaks to anyone. In those 5 minutes, the apartment is quiet and the quiet belongs to her. She has opened her notebook twice this week. Not to write a business plan, just to write 1 sentence each morning about what she wants to do today. She is not where she wants to be. She will tell you that herself. But she is not starting from zero anymore. She knows what those 5 minutes feel like, and she is not ready to give them up. I know that feeling. The feeling of not being finished, but not being stuck. The feeling of a morning that finally belongs to you, even if only for 5 minutes. That is all I wanted to. Not to be done, just to be moving in a direction I chose, not one I inherited. Of everything we talked about today, this is the one I want you to remember. Protect the first 5 minutes of silence. Not because it is the most scientific habit, not because research says so, because it is the one most connected to who you actually are, underneath everything you are managing. I did not start protecting my mornings because of a self-help book. I started because there was a period in my life when everything was falling apart. The money, the plans, the version of myself I thought I had built for good. And in the middle of all of that, I found 1 hour. Early in the morning, before anyone needed anything from me. Before the phone rang. Before the day had an opinion about who I should be. That hour was not productive. I was not journaling or planning or optimizing. I was just quiet. And that quiet was the first thing that was mine in a long time. I did not know then that it would become the foundation of everything after. I just knew that in that hour, I could breathe. I could remember what I actually thought, separate from what everyone else needed me to think. I could hear myself again. That is what I want for you. Not a perfect morning. Not a 5-habit system running like a machine. Just 5 minutes in the morning that belong to no one else. Because here is what I know now. After losing a lot and rebuilding slowly. The mornings when I protected that silence were the mornings I made better decisions. Not because I was more rested, because I arrived at my day as myself. Not as a reaction, not as a role, as the person I was trying to become. Sophia found it on day 9, sitting in the dark on the edge of her bed, not quite praying, not quite planning, just still, just present. And in that stillness, something she had not felt in years, the quiet sense that she had not been forgotten, that the story was not finished. You have not been forgotten either. 5 minutes. Tomorrow morning, before the phone, before the news, before the obligations arrive at your door with their hands out. 5 minutes that are only yours. You already know what your mornings have been. Now you get to decide what they become. Not next month. Not when things are quieter. Tomorrow. At 5 a.m. when no one is watching. And the only person you have to answer to is yourself. If today's lesson stayed with you, press subscribe. Not for me. For you. So the next lesson finds you.